I don't want it in a sense because I think it disrespects Will Chamberlain, Jerry West, all the guys that prior to me I never had a chance to play against. What everybody's saying I am, I never had the chance to compete against other legends that was prior to me.
Interview 00.4 17, you're speaking of the greatest basketball legend, Michael Jordan. 10 scoring crowns, 5 MVPs, 6 championships, and innumerable incredible moments that changed the course of NBA history. Jordan, who dominated the game with unparalleled talent and confidence, was a cultural phenomenon. However, even the greatest of all time was subject to scorn and ridicule. Let's examine the 6 players who treated Michael Jordan disrespectfully, the anecdotes that stoked their rivalries, and how MJ consistently managed to silence his skeptics. Nick Anderson, the doubt-inspiring steal. Although his name may not immediately spring to mind when discussing basketball greats, his influence on Michael Jackson's career will never be forgotten. His bravery and a single flash of genius set off a chain reaction that rocked the greatest player's self-esteem and fueled a tale of epic retaliation. It all began when Jordan's Chicago Bulls and Anderson's Orlando Magic faced battle in the 1995 Eastern Conference semifinals. MJ has just returned to the NBA following a break from baseball. However, not everybody believed that he was the same irresistible power. It happened late in a pivotal game when Jordan was trying to outplay the defense. MJ lost the ball to Anderson, something so uncommon that time seemed to stop. After the ball was snatched up, they made a crucial magic basket to complete their unexpected triumph over Chicago. It wasn't simply Anderson's astute defensive play that started the uproar, it was what was said next. After the game, Anderson publicly criticized Jordan by telling reporters that he didn't look like the Michael Jordan of the past. Those were harsh statements. They weren't merely derogatory remarks. They posed a threat to MJ's legacy during a period when many doubted his ability to regain his position as king. For Anderson, Jordan's lack of alignment with his previous dominance was symbolized by MJ's choice to wear number 45 instead of the legendary 23. MJ was never one to tolerate such comments. In an effort to disprove Anderson, in the very next game, he returned to his iconic number 23 shirt, and his heirs, as predicted, lit up the scoreboard, scoring 38 points against Orlando in a spectacular display of force. It was one of the few occasions MJ was defeated in the playoffs, during the height of his career though, as Anderson and the Magic won the series in spite of MJ's individual genius. But don't be fooled by that moment. Jordan won MVP again the very next season, and guided the Bulls to a historic 72-win campaign that culminated in his 4th NBA title. Despite raising some questions, Anderson's steal eventually became just another element in the story of Michael Jackson's unrelenting ascent to fame. The greatest of all time, Clyde Drexler, was fired by playmaker who could shoulder the load for his Portland Trail Blazers thanks to his fluid athleticism. Before the 1992 finals, however, some people dared to compare Clyde to Michael Jackson. Jordan not only took offense at the decision, but he also used it as motivation to thrash his opponent on the largest platform in basketball. A competitive fire was stoked in MJ's soul by the fervor around Drexler as his equal. Jordan made a statement in the series opener that has reverberated throughout NBA history. The shrug game. MJ, who isn't known for his outside shooting, put on a remarkable display in the first half, making 6 three-pointers with Drexler on the court. Jordan looked to the audience as the final 3 splattered over the net and gave a nonchalant shrug as if to suggest, "I don't know how it's happening, but good luck stopping me later." He replied, "I wasn't the best three-point shooter, but tonight it didn't matter." As he led the Bulls to their 2nd straight title in 6 games, MJ was unrelenting throughout the finals, averaging an incredible 35.8 points and 4.8 rebounds, and winning MVP. Drexler, meanwhile, found it difficult to keep up. Drexler put forth a lot of effort and produced respectable stats: 24.8 points, 7 rebounds. but he was never able to match Jordan's extraordinary level of play. The parallels were offensive to MJ in addition to being unjust. I was inspired when people made comparisons between us. Although I am aware of his abilities, I wanted to demonstrate that there was no question. The Bulls' triumph in the 1992 NBA Finals was more than just a memorable one. They were Michael Jordan's proclamations. His throne would never be taken. When MJ turned the battle of the shooting guards into a one-sided display of greatness, Drexler had to learn that lesson the hard way. Barkley, Charles. Criticism tears friends apart. Charles Barkley and Jordan were more than just rivals. They became close friends because of their shared passion for golf, their remarkable basketball careers, and their exuberant personalities. However, even the strongest bonds may be severed, and Barkley's audacious remarks caused theirs to fall apart. It all began when, in a televised interview, Barkley attacked Michael Jordan, specifically focusing on his managerial style as the Charlotte Hornets owner. "I don't think he has been very successful running the team because he hasn't put good people around him," Barkley said. The statement was straightforward and perhaps even enlightening, but it was a painful area for someone who was renowned for being proud of his legacy. According to reports, Jordan, who is notorious for harboring resentment deeper than his 6 rings, broke up his relationship with Barkley, resulting in one of basketball's most notorious fallouts. Their antagonism had been equally fierce on the court. The final matchup between these two superstars took place in the 1993 NBA Finals, where Jordan's Chicago Bulls and Barkley's Phoenix Suns faced off. Throughout the series, Barkley was outstanding, averaging 27.3 points and 13 rebounds per game, which demonstrated why he had won the league MVP award that year. But despite his best efforts, Sir Charles was unable to match Jordan's intelligence. With an incredible 41 points per game, a finals record, and deadly accuracy, MJ was unbeatable and helped Chicago win its 3rd straight championship. After giving the loss some thought, Barkley said, "I came to one realization. Even though I was amazing, Michael Jordan was just better." However, Barkley's criticism off the court persisted and strained relations between the two legends. Their once celebrated friendship was destroyed by Jordan's harshness and Barkley's candor, a tale that demonstrates that even famous people can get involved in personal conflicts. Gary Payton. The Glove made an attempt. Payton, who was known as the Glove, took great satisfaction in containing the league's top scorers with constant trash talk and stifling defensive pressure. Therefore, Payton saw a chance to create history by halting the greatest of all time in his tracks when his Seattle Supersonics met MJ's Chicago Bulls in the 1996 NBA Finals. However, the task was not simple. Jordan controlled the first 3 games of the series, and Payton wasn't put in charge of guarding him specifically. Seattle's aspirations of winning a title were put on life support after they fell down 30 series in a short period of time. Then Payton's moment arrived. Sonics' defensive star was given the go-ahead to take on MJ head-to-head by his coach, George Karl, who was desperate to stop MJ's reign of terror. Payton accepted the challenge and gave it his all against MJ. Jordan's scoring dropped significantly from his typical domination to 23 points per game for the next 3 games. With Payton's defense receiving recognition for slowing down basketball's best player, the Sonics were able to win games 4 and 5. "So I made it difficult for him," Payton said, looking back on this stretch with pride years later. "I reduced his speed. That was the distinction." Even though Payton's work was well praised, MJ wasn't pleased with his claim. When MJ saw the video of Payton's remarks during ESPN's The Last Dance documentary, it was the ideal prelude to one of the most famous outbursts in sports history.
Him and banging him and hitting him and banging him. It took a toll on Mike. It took a toll, and then
I had no problem with the Glove.
Didn't try to play it humble, didn't provide a counter-argument, and didn't even evaluate Game 6. Rather, he burst out laughing and then said, "The Glove? With the glove, I had no issues. Jordan did, in fact, have the final laugh when everything was said and done. MJ finally silenced Seattle and Gary Payton in Game 6. In NBA history, Payton's effort is still a significant anecdote. However, even the glove was unable to land the knockout blow he had hoped for against MJ. The league heard the punch that Reggie Miller delivered. Miller was a fierce competitor who had no qualms about disparaging the best player in the world. But aiming for MJ is a risky enterprise. And during one notorious game in 1993, Miller discovered just how far MJ's anger might go. It all began when Miller yelled at Jordan during a heated regular season game. Miller chose to go all in against the greatest of all time, whether it was through physical play or trash talk. When Miller made fun of MJ following a heated play, things became heated. Jordan then made a stunning swing at Reggie, causing havoc on the court. Although teammates hurried to break up the two superstars, the tension created one of the most intense rivalries in basketball. Miller subsequently said, "I knew I'd gotten under his skin," stated. But that comes with a cost. Years later, during a taxing 7-game series between MJ's Bulls and Miller's Pacers in the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals, the animosity reappeared. Miller faced Chicago's dynasty head-to-head with an air of confidence. Miller grabbed the show in one of the games with a memorable scene. In order to make a crucial shot that won the game, he pushed Jordan aside. With the series deadlocked at 2, Miller confidently declared to the reporters, "We were the better team." Both his self-assurance and MJ's merciless determination remained unwavering. MJ flipped the switch that would make him immortal when the last game came around. He stepped up to the plate, scoring 28 points and helping the Bulls defeat Indiana and advance to the NBA Finals once more. Despite their best efforts, Miller and his team were unable to overthrow Chicago's empire. Isaiah Thomas is the feud that has lasted the longest. Few rivalries in basketball are as acrimonious and intimate as the one between Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas. Personal contempt, postseason drama, and some of the NBA's most explosive moments served as fuel for their hostility. On and off the court, these two legends battled to overthrow one another. Their rivalry dates back to the late 1980s, when the Detroit Pistons, Thomas's Bad Boys, were the dominant force in physical basketball. The Jordan rules, a vicious defensive tactic intended to stop MJ at any cost, were notably applied by Detroit. The Pistons' customary double teams, harsh fouls, and outright intimidation made their playoff games into battlefields. Jordan was ashamed and disappointed after Detroit eliminated Chicago from the playoffs for 3 consecutive seasons. However, MJ was never one to accept permanent denial. His final 4-game sweep of Detroit in the Eastern Conference Finals in 1991 put a stop to the Bad Boys era and stoked even more animosity between him and Thomas. In 1992, their rivalry took a more sinister turn. Thomas was left off of the historic Dream Team, which is considered to be the best lineup in basketball, despite his leadership abilities and Hall of Fame status. There was a reason for the startling absence. Many conjectured that Jordan was involved in preventing Thomas from being invited. During the last dance, MJ came clean and said, "I hated Isaiah. It wasn't personal, despite my admiration for his game. All he was a jerk. I met all the criteria to be on that team," Isaiah retorted. Yet, there has never been an apology or a reconciliation. The quarrel is still recognizable decades later, demonstrating that resentment can persist even in the name of excellence. In addition to pushing Jordan to the limit, Isaiah made a lasting impression as MJ's most despised opponent. Despite dominating the NBA, Michael Jordan's fixation with winning was only heightened by the disrespectful behavior of his audacious rivals. The GOAT was challenged by these 6 players, and every tale demonstrates that MJ did more than simply step up to the plate. In a way that will never be forgotten, he silenced his skeptics. Okay, that's it for today. Remember to click subscribe, and I'll see you in the next.